newscast on Future Television. I'm Yumna Naufal, and these are today's top stories. Syrian rebels begin peace talks with the war-torn country's government in Kazakhstan's capital, Astana, but refuse to negotiate face-to-face in the first session. Yemeni government forces capture the port of Mocha as they push to oust Houthi rebels from the Red Sea coastline. And former French Minister Manuel Valls calls for a big turnout in the second round of the socialist primaries after a first round made left-wing rival Benoit Hamon the frontrunner. Syrian rebels have begun peace talks with the war-torn country's government in Kazakhstan's capital Astana, but are refusing to negotiate face-to-face in the first session. The talks had been billed as the first time armed groups were due to negotiate with President Bashar al-Assad's government since the conflict erupted in 2011, and come a month after Syrian forces delivered the rebels a crushing blow by retaking full control of Aleppo. But rebel spokesman Yahya al-Aridi said the opposition backed out of the first round of direct talks because of the government's continued bombardment and attacks on a flashpoint area near Damascus. The talks also coincide with a rapprochement between government ally Russia and rebel backer Turkey, who brokered the current truce after months of U.S. disengagement in the conflict. And so present at the talks was the Russian the Russian Foreign Minister Vladimir Putin's Sergei Lavrov. He was talking about what he sees eye to eye with U.S. President Donald Trump. He says they see eye to eye when it comes to many foreign policy goals. He was speaking at a news conference with his Hungarian counterpart, Peter Szijjártó, and he also was quoted as saying, as the ground for his actions on the international arena, Donald Trump is clearly pursuing the United States' vital interests rather than attempting to interfere in other countries' affairs. The Russian Federation carries out its foreign policy according to the very same principles. In Lebanon, security forces are searching for two suspected suicide bombers thought to be members of the extremist cell behind the attempted attack in Beirut over the weekend in Hamra. President Michel Aoun congratulated the Military Intelligence Directorate and the intelligence branch of the Internal Security Forces for foiling a suicide attack at the Costa Cafe in Hamra's district. Prime Minister Saad Hariri visited the scene of the incident. Now, the two suspected militants, who are still to be set on the loose, along with 25-year-old Lebanese national Omar Hassan Asi, are allegedly members of a three-person extremist cell. Asi was arrested over the weekend after he attempted to detonate an explosive belt at Costa Cafe, and he was injured during the arrest, with several soldiers holding him down to ensure he was not able to go off. Yemeni government forces captured the port of Mocha as they are pushing to oust Houthi rebels from the Red Sea coastline. Government forces were combing the port, a journalist accompanying the troops said, almost 3 weeks after the loyalists launched an offensive against the Shia insurgents and their allies on Yemen's southwestern coast. An official statement said government forces recaptured the whole city, but a military commander in the field said that loyalists were still fighting the rebels on the southern outskirts of Mocha. Forces loyal to President Abd Rabbu Mansour Hadi launched a vast offensive on January 7th to retake the Dubab district overlooking the Bab el-Mandab Strait, a key maritime route connecting the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. Former French Minister Manuel Valls is calling for a big turnout in the second round of the socialist primaries after a first-round vote made left-wing rival Benoit Hamon frontrunner to represent the party in this year's presidential election. Now, opinion polls show that no socialist is likely to win the presidency. They make conservative François Fillon the favorite and put Marine Le Pen on the far-right National Front in second place. But they also show that a victory for Hamon in next Sunday's decisive socialist primaries second round against Valls could expose the center ground to which Valls hopes to appeal and therefore boost the presidential prospects of independent centrist Emmanuel Macron. Hamon is a traditional left-winger. He was sacked from government by President François Hollande in 2014 for criticizing his economic policies. Coming up next, we discuss with Dr. Elizabeth O'Day the Women's March in Washington, D.C. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching the English news here on Future Television. FBI Director James Comey upset Democrats over the email drama that engulfed Democrat Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. Well, on Sunday, he received a handshake and a pat on the back from President Donald Trump. It occurred at a reception for law enforcement and security officials in the White House Blue Room on Trump's second full day as president. Trump saw Comey in the audience and called out to him. Comey then walked up to Trump, who shook his hand and gave him a pat on the back. Comey sent a letter to the U.S. Congress only days before the November 8 election announcing that he was reinstating an investigation into whether Clinton mishandled classified information when she used a private email server while Secretary of State from 2009 to 2012. The FBI director announced a week later that he had reviewed a new batch of emails and decided there was no new indication that a prosecution was needed. But the political damage was already done. Counselor to U.S. President Donald Trump, Kellyanne Conway, downplayed the White House comments from the previous day. The White House accused the media of framing photographs to understate the crowd that attended Donald Trump's inauguration, a new jab in a long-running fight between the new president and the news organizations who cover him. In an unusual and fiery statement on Saturday night, White House spokesman Sean Spicer lashed out about tweeted photographs that showed large empty spaces on the National Mall during the ceremony on Friday.
And on this matter of crowd size, for me, I think the most quantifiable points of interest for Americans should be what just happened a few months ago that brought him here, the 31 of 50 states he won, the 2,600 counties, the 200 counties that went for President Obama that now went to President Trump, and the fact that 29, 30 million women voted for Donald Trump for president. They should be respected. Somebody should cover their voices as well. I'm about things that are quantifiable and important. I don't think ultimately presidents are judged by crowd sizes at their inauguration. I think they're judged by their accomplishments. And we know that President Obama and his accomplishments, so there's a lot of unfinished business there. And on this matter of crowd size, I think it is a symbol for the unfair and incomplete treatment that this president often receives. I'm very heartened to see Nielsen just came out with the ratings, 31 million people watching the inauguration. President Obama had 20.5 million watching his second inauguration 4 short years ago. So we know people are also watching the inauguration on different screens and in different modes. Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that.
On the line with us live from Boston, Massachusetts in the United States, CEO and founder of Alaris Therapeutics, Dr. Elizabeth O'Day, who also attended the Washington, D.C. Women's March last Saturday. And we saw a very high number of women attending these marches all over the United States. Thank you for being with us, Dr. O'Day.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to have a chance to chat with you.
I know that you went from Boston to D.C. just to attend this. What was your reason for attending it?
Well, actually, first I just wanted to quickly preface and say that I'm not a political expert, nor do I belong to any political party. I tend to vote for who will do the best job, and I vote both Democrat and Republican. And so that being said, why it was important for me to go Saturday is because I believe America is and will be a great country. However, over the last, 18 months or so, a lot of hate and uncertainty and fear has been stirred up. And so I felt it was important for myself, for my future kids, and clearly many other people agreed with me, judging by the crowd size, to go down to DC to march and to say that, sexism, racism, bigotry, Islamophobia, homophobia, none of that belongs in this great American country. And I actually think that Saturday's march can serve as like a reference point for what truly a united United States looks like.
Right. You say the last 18 months, and it's hard to basically dissociate the fact that those were the 18 months that were the run-up to the election. Obviously, a lot of women were there. A lot of actresses and singers also voiced disapproval, disagreement with a few things President Donald Trump had said. They said that they wanted, full rights over their bodies. They didn't want a lot of them also spoke about the climate crisis, the climate controversy, when Donald Trump has expressed views that don't really go with what has been happening in the last 8 years. So you can't really say that a lot of the women who were marching there, also had nothing to do with the fact that there's a lot of controversy surrounding this new presidency.
Yeah, I think there's a controversy and uncertainty. I think that people just don't know what's going to play out. So I wanted to take this sort of opportunity on, President Trump's first day to say these are the issues that, we're passionate about. And I think, what was amazing to me and kind of the coolest part of the march was sort of the diversity of agendas that were being promoted. You saw people, talking about Black Lives Matter, promoting issues around climate change, about reproductive rights. And what was cool was that for the last, 18 months or even longer, those have sort of been issues that can divide Americans. But for the first time in a long time, that's actually what brought us together. And we were kind of a united force that says, okay, you're passionate about this, I'm passionate about that, and I'm going to support you to make sure that like your concerns and your issues are being heard. So I don't know. To me, it was really like a hopeful and an inspiring, opportunity.
Right. A lot of the signs and a lot of the, there was from maybe conservatives were criticizing that this was a little bit more in your face. Some signs were criticized and labeled as vulgar, very provocative. So, and I know you said that, but there was reason for people to feel very passionate about these kinds of issues.
Yeah, so I know I said to you previously, there was a whole distribution of signs. There were some that were super educational, like listing the facts of what's going on in certain areas. Some that were more lewd and poking fun of, issues that has happened. I would say, to be fair, President Trump has certainly provided a lot of material for people to work with. But overall, the mood was very positive and jovial.
Right. No arrests made. I think not very little to none. I heard no arrests made. Very peaceful protests.
And even the mood wasn't like, at least for me, I didn't feel like it was very anti-Trump. It was very pro-human rights. Human being men, women, Black, white, Christian, LGBT, Muslim, refugee.
But the fact that it happened a day right after he was also sworn in was also, it's a little bit, I guess this is why a lot of people are saying, a lot of people also were very critical of him. This is probably why a lot of people associate this women march, especially after Donald Trump has made very explicit comments about women in general, for it to come a day after the inauguration. So I guess this is why people and the media and everybody else is associating it with Donald Trump.
Yeah, but I think one comment that kind of resonated to me and was kind of a theme of at least, again, for me, I don't want to speak for everybody that was there for the march, was something that Scarlett Johansson said. She said, President Trump, I didn't vote for you, but I want to support you. You just have to support me first. And I think that that's kind of what the message that a lot of people were trying to make. And it was important to go on the first day of his presidency to say, this is your first day. These are the people, you said you want to be the people for the entire United States. These are the people and the issues that we're concerned about. And we're expecting you as our president and as our leader to deliver. And I personally am hopeful that he'll do a good job. Like, we all win if Trump does well, but he doesn't.
Right, that's the last question that I want to ask you, wrapping it up here, is, a lot of people are also saying, give him a chance, let us see what we can do, let's all stand behind him. So, as a citizen, looking into the next 4 years, what is your hope?
Yeah, I actually am hopeful. I would say I'm cautiously optimistic, but am fiercely vigilant. And I think that fiercely vigilant to kind of do and to protect what I think is right. And I think that that's probably what this march signified. It just is telling President Trump and the world that, the people are here, we're not going to be silent anymore, and we're going to fight for equality and truth. And I am hopeful. And, I think actually something that Trump said in his inaugural address actually gave me some hope. He said that he wants this presidency to be, and I'm obviously paraphrasing, where the power goes back to the people. And I think Saturday's was a true demonstration of the power of the people. And hopefully, if the people and the government can work together, I'm sure we can really do great things. So, we'll see. As I said, I'm being optimistic, and I think that we'll be able to do great things together.
I think optimism is the best way to go. So thank you for being with us today. Dr. Elizabeth O'Day, the founder and CEO of Laris Therapeutics, who also attended the Washington, D.C. Women's March. Thank you. And on that note, we end our bulletin for today now for a reminder of our headlines. Syrian rebels begin peace talks with the war-torn country's government in Kazakhstan's capital, Astana, but refuse to negotiate face-to-face in the first session. Yemeni government forces capture the port of Mocha as they push to oust Houthi rebels from the Red Sea coastline. And former French Prime Minister Manuel Valls calls for a big turnout in the second round of socialist primaries in France after a first round made left-wing rival Benoit Hamon front runner. Those are your Monday headlines live on Future Television. Check us again tomorrow for all the latest, and thank you for watching. Take care.
حمل معي المودة والصداقة.